here. Exploit me, bitch! And I've already been exploited all day! All day! For nothing. How many He knows! He made everything! Listen, I'm done! I quit! Lisa comes and she goes, hey, there's 8 tables waiting. And I go, what the fuck? I turn around, now there's 8 tables sitting! And I'm like, I already had 11, by the way, in case you wanted to know. I literally grabbed the owner, I said, come here. I said, hey, go sit down right there and don't move, don't touch anything else. Next thing I know, 5 more tables are sitting down and I can't take it. I literally can't take it. I literally go up to you and I say, I don't care that you're here. You're gonna give me 5 minutes whether you like it or not. Thank you. This one table gets up, comes to the kitchen. I've been waiting on my food for over an hour. Grab him, walk into the computer. Do you see how this says 29 minutes? Sit down and go shut the get out of my face. I'm not doing this. I'm not having a nervous breakdown. Everyone has got it. Some people left me $3. Some people liked it and left me 30. I don't know how today went. I am never coming back here. I'm standing on business. I'm done.
So is it just me, or are people fed up with either their job or the search of jobs? As the recession gets here, which we're going to go into one, it's inevitable. We saw the stock market get crushed last week, and it's probably going to keep continuing into the next few weeks until we find some type of bottom. We're going to see more and more job layoffs, and we're going to see more people just tapping out. They're just done. So what do you think about this situation? Let's go through some of these stories, and I want to hear from what y'all think in the comments down below.
Am I the only one that doesn't see the point of this anymore? Trading your time for money. So I'm supposed to give you 8 hours of my day for 5 days a week for the rest of my life?
I've never been one to trade my time for money. As an entrepreneur, I just like to make my own rules. I wind up probably working 100 hours to keep from working 35 for somebody else. But you know what? I'm willing to take that trade.
Second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I'm laid off again. Twice in a year. And
that's tough. That's real tough.
What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So
the economy.
We're going to lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key.
It's so hard to watch these stories, especially as we know what's coming in a recession. It means 1 million, 2 million job losses, depending on how far down we go. And it's coming. As the stock market recedes back, you're going to see massive cuts. It's sad to see some people trying so hard and nothing is going their way. I totally feel for them. I know the pain.
I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's and I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild, and I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I'm scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got.
This is one of those things about the emergency fund and having for a rainy day. There's nothing worse than to get in the rhythm of a job and you start putting your soul and your mind in it to make somebody else money and to prosper and to be seen as a good employee, and then to have your heart broken because they truly don't care about you, and you find that out that they don't care about you, and you were giving it your all, and then they just tell you, well, that's not good enough. I mean, that really hurts your soul. Comment down below with your experiences in a situation like this and how you recouped from it. Maybe somebody's out there in that same situation, they read your comment and it gets them through the day.
Accused over here. We received an email from Unum stating that they were asking for a confirmation of a resignation date. Did you resign and we just don't know about it?
Yeah, I'm not working there anymore. I quit.
Stone cold. She just said, I quit. It seems like we have two sides of this. We have the ones that are just over it and they're wanting to get out of the system and not even planning on going back into it. There's a term for that in economics, that they're just completely out of the job numbers and they don't plan to go back in. And a lot of people think that's where filling the gap on some of these industries could come from, are the ones out there that are just not even looking for jobs coming back into the market. And then you have those that are just working their tail off and trying their best just to feed their families and just looking for a good job. And then some of them are doing their job the way they're supposed to. They put in their resignation, immediate termination. We see this time and time again in these videos. Somebody's like, you know what, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks. I'm gonna give you time. And they just come back and say, you know what, terminated today. We don't need your 2 weeks. What does that say to people that are trying to do their best?
I'm probably going to delete this later because I don't believe in crying on the internet, but here I am. When the f*** are we going to talk about what's happening with the job market in the state of corporate America? I was laid off for the second time in 2 years, both from companies that promised stability and upward growth. And the first time I was laid off, it was quite literally because of AI. They didn't try to hide it from us. In fact, in our layoff letters, they told us that they were getting rid of our team to replace us with AI because they found it a better investment opportunity. But at least with them, I got a laptop and 13 weeks severance. This second company is a company that I wish I never worked at, quite honestly. In December, because this company was transparent, everyone at the company was able to see the numbers and that things for the next few months weren't looking good. So we asked the job to see if we needed to start preparing ourselves for layoffs, and they told us no. They told us that we had things in the pipeline, that everything was good, and we didn't need to worry. And then they laid us off. Granted, it's because of what's going on with this bullshit administration. That company relied on...
I said this in one of my other videos, how the contractors of the federal government were going to get hit next. And it's trickling down. You know, once the money spigot turns off in the federal government, down the line, everybody gets hit. All the way down to the hot dog vendors that stand outside of those buildings selling, to the federal workers and the contractors, everything to the janitors, everything to the guy that fills the paper in the copy machine. All those contractors are going to get crushed. AI is a game changer. You know, somebody asked me the other day, Jack, why don't you hire somebody as an assistant? And I said, you know what? I can hire an AI bot to do most of the things that they would be doing, and I don't have to pay healthcare. I don't have to pay any type of assistance. It's just me and my cell phone, and I can keep on trucking. And when I said that to myself and to my peer, I realized right then and there that there are many people that are going to be replaced by just an average level bot or an average level AI assistant. Real estate is full of AI assistants because it allows the leads to come in, get filtered, and then to keep them in a loop. Even to answer in the phone. And some of these AI phone or call banks do better than the telecenters for the most part, and they don't have to worry about the managerial situations of working with people. It is a wild industry where they're going to be able to take a average AI-oriented receptionist, and it's going to not only be 100 level IQ or 110 IQ of a normal person, but in the next 5 years, it's going to be PhD level of a person at scale. So think about this. In 5 to 10 years, you're going to have an AI computer bot, whatever you want to call it, that is going to have a PhD in every subject all at once at scale. So it could literally answer any question at any time. And it all depends on how much you're willing to pay up for this AI. But in the world of secretarial work, transactions, coding, engineering, legal assistance, any of that, ChatGPT, Grok, all these ones out there, that's what they're going to take out, is that lower middle tier person, the analyst, because it can do it all by itself. Such an interesting time. I feel for everybody that is going to get caught by this, but it is coming. I've been saying it for probably about 2 years now. It's going to get exponentially faster. So you need to get out there, learn the skills that can't be replaced. Learn, maybe some type of sales skill. If you're an inputter or a data inputter, anything like that, you've got to go into another field because it's coming, or you're going to be out of that field. Corporate America runs by slashing budgets and the fat off stuff, and they don't care about anybody's feelings. So it's going to be rough.
All right, it's official. I am being laid off. Just received my preliminary reduction in force notice that I am, what's the word? Notice of recommendation not to re-employ for 2025-2026. You are receiving this notice either because you serve any particular kind of service that is being reduced or eliminated. So, can someone please just explain to me how the teacher of the year gets laid off?
Crazy.
But I think I'm so angry right now that it's going to take me some time to sift through these.
So comment down below if you're a teacher. What is happening here where I'm at is so many of the kids are going to private schools or home-based schools, given the option, that they don't want to go into the public school system. And when they're talking about hiring more teachers, and this is just my thought, comment down below if you know more about this, but as they're trying to hire more teachers, the budget is not there. The kids are not there, and all the kids with money left to go to the private sector. So the public school system in and around where I'm at is in a real hurt. And I think this is going to lead to a reduction of teachers because the state has to fund by the number of kids in their system. Roll call. And if they're not in the system, they don't get the budget. And most of the schools where we are failing schools. And giving the opportunity, they're willing to leave the school system. The kids are. And the parents taking their kids. What does that say about the system? If given the opportunity, everything equal, that people are willing to take their kids out of the public school system. Now, what does this do? It hurts jobs. And I think we're going to see a massive slide of jobs in America. We're going to see a recession for the next year, at least. It's going to devastate jobs. It's going to devastate anything to do with the real estate market. In my area, I think prices are going to stay about the same. But if you're in some of these big cities where we've been seeing real estate slide and stay on the market for a very long time, well, it's going to get worse in those places. New York, California, big Texas, Las Vegas, all these big cities. Well, things are sitting and interest rates are keeping things in a hurt. And I think what we're going to see is interest rates. The administration wants lower interest rates. Whether that is hitting the economy with a brick wall to force the Fed's hand, forcing job losses to force the Fed's hand, or playing chicken with the government spending budget in order to reduce inflation so low that the Fed's like, job's done, we're below 2% inflation, let's start reducing rates. Because there are so many commercial real estate people out there that must refinance their debt in the next year or two or they're toast. And the only way they can do that is with lower interest rates. They have to refinance at a lower interest rate or these properties are not cash flowing. These big buildings that when people went from working in the office to working at home, most of these office buildings are empty now. And don't get me started on the federal government office buildings that they're cutting contracts on. Those buildings are no longer worth as much as they were because they don't cash flow as much as they were. And if you refinance a commercial building where the cash flow has gone down and the interest rate is high and the cash flow has gone down, that property is not worth what it was. That property is now not making as much money. It's all about cash flow. You reduce cash flow, however you may do that with a higher interest rate or reduce in amount of rents being paid, that property is going to get crushed. I think Trump knows it. I think most of the people in real estate know this is coming, and they've got to do something to get interest rates down and get the Fed to reduce them because it's going to get interesting really fast.
I busted my ass and I was just laid off. These companies do not care about us. want us to give us a 2-week notice, but yet can just fire us and ruin our lives on the spot any day that they choose. I have a 2-year-old son, no savings, which is my fault, and it doesn't fucking matter. So now I have to go back on the job hunt, and I have to get a work from home job because I have a 2-year-old that I have to take care of. Can't afford daycare. Rent is $2,500 where I live. Now I gotta find out how to pay off my lease early, because there's no way that we could afford to live here. I don't even have a computer. They just locked me out of my computer. You know, I really thought that the culture at my job was great, the best that it's ever been. And for them to just lay me off, not even based off of performance, because my manager just shouted me out today.
It's terrible. One, when you move across country or a long ways for a job, you get there, then they fire you or let you go. You've moved all the way across from where you were, your safe space, to this new job, and you've got a 2-year-old to support. Daycare, let me tell you, me and Samantha, we could not find daycare. The day she got pregnant, we got on a list for daycare. 2 years later, we never heard back from any of those people. Like, what would we have done if we didn't have family around us to support us for us to have a kid? One of the most interesting statistics right now is that America is not at replacement rate. I think it's like 1.7 or 1.8 replacement rate in America. Places like Japan, Korea, Europe, like are well below replacement rate. I think they're saying that the Japanese in 2 or 3 generations could almost cease to exist. The Koreans, same way. And Europe is like 1.5 or 1.6 replacement rate. That means if there's 2 people that have a kid, that you're barely at 1 and some change. And in a couple of generations, of course, you're not going to have as many people. The population of most of Europe, America, and Asia is shrinking at a drastic rate. Like, not even at levels to sustain industry. I don't know what they're going to do about that, but go down that rabbit hole. It's wild.
I know you're pretty frustrated right now.
Because I have 3 kids and I have bills to pay for. So I just put in my 2-week notice at my job. I was very polite about it, and I told my team lead last week that I would be leaving next month. Completely understood. And when I was ready to... Oh, they're calling. Let's see what they have to say.
So wanted to call and meet with you. Whenever an agent within the account review team does give their notice, we have to accept that immediately. I know you're pretty frustrated right now.
Because I have 3 kids and I have bills to pay for. So I'm livid. So I just want to make sure, like, yes, I'm being terminated today because I'm going to have to try to file for unemployment. I'm not resigning as of today. I was resigning as of August 12th. So if you're telling me I'm being let go today, that means I'm being terminated as of today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We are separating your employment today.
Thanks.
Due to the sensitivity of the stuff that we work with in this department, whenever a 2 weeks notice is provided, we have to accept it immediately. We are going to go ahead and proceed with the separation today. Honestly, wish you well.
Imagine planning to leave your job in 2 weeks, like they tell you to. Put in your 2 weeks notice. You're like, okay, forward pay is going to be X amount. I'll have this by the time I decide to leave. And you just get terminated. And you don't have that safety net of that 2 weeks pay, or the 2 weeks to plan on what you're going to do next, that next job, the next resume, whatever it may be. And they just terminate you. Like, what do you think about that? I think that's terrible. You were trying to do it right. If not, pull a Jerry Maguire and be like, who's going with me? Who's going with me? I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, I'd go out in fashion.
Right now, a job could literally say, they gonna pay me $40 an hour. I still don't want it. All the benefits in the world, 401k down, everything is available. You can start right now. I still don't want the job. This is something I literally keep to myself because I don't think a lot of people understand where I am at this point when it comes to jobs, and I'm not even playing. It's not even about the money no more. My last job, I made the most money I've ever made in my life, and I still resigned from that job. Because it's not about the money. Like, once you realize and you've touched enough money at a job and realize how much you're still unhappy.
I feel that there's been many a times when I was in my younger years, I would rather work at McDonald's and do some of the stuff I was having to do. The stress the toxic culture, everybody eating each other. That type of stuff I would rather pick up cans on the side of the road than do. Especially once you get your house paid for and you're in that power position where you treat me wrong and I'm gone, I feel it. I would rather just barely pay my bills than to deal with some of this toxic work culture, especially corporate America. No way would I sit there and input stuff on Excel spreadsheets all day long. It's not built that way.
How much you still are behind on stuff, how much it doesn't really make you happy or fulfill you. No money moving forward is going to make you want to work at a job. I'm officially at that point. I've been telling y'all, I don't want to work for nobody. The thought of me clocking into somebody's job gives me extreme anxiety. I don't care about the money. It's nothing a job can say to me to make me say, hey, okay, I want to come work for you. Nothing. It's nothing you can say. I don't want to do it. I would literally, quite literally, use my own products that I make and go on the street and sell it with a tent set up and make money that way than to clock into a 9 to 5.
I think there's a total difference between, living off the system, food stamps, not willing to work, and then just I'm willing to work, but I'm not willing to be unhappy at that situation. If your bills are paid and everything's good to go, you can do that. That's why I always say no debt, pay off your house, and you can live from a position of power. And if they talk bad to you, you can go home. But until you get to that situation, you don't get to be that picky. And sometimes you've got to stomach some things to get there to that situation. That's why when I was in my younger years, I was saving 90% of everything I made, and I was socking it away because I knew one day I would not have to listen to those toxic people. I can make my own rules, and that's what I do now. Entrepreneurship, no debt, save for a rainy day, and you're in a position of you doing what you need to do. Start your own business, whatever it may be, handyman service, power washing business, healthcare consulting, whatever your thing is, you can do when you deal from a position of power, financial power. Save for a rainy day.
It's not about the money. If it makes me happy, that's where I'm going to be. And a 9 to 5 does not make me happy. I'm sorry. A job could literally say they going to pay me $40 an hour.
After I gave my 2 weeks notice, I think I got fired today after I gave my 2 weeks notice. So I gave my 2 weeks on Wednesday, and then today my project manager had a meeting with me to ask me why I was quitting. And then at the end he was like, oh,
that's one thing that I noticed with the girl freaking out is some of these employers, when they lose people, they just double down on the other employee. They're like, you know what? She quit, so you can do twice the job for the same amount of pay. And that's what really sends a lot of people over the edge, in my opinion, because it did for me. In the Army, we were so short on officers that they would just take the good officers and give all the work to them, take the bad officers and just let them frolic. So then they burned out all the good officers. They left the Army, and the others wound up becoming colonels because nobody gave them the work, and they just frolicked through the system and raised up to the top. And, it's the same way I feel like in corporate America, when you're really bad at something and you're the boss, the person messed it up and the boss knew, then they cover up for the person new so they don't get in trouble, and then that person that messed it up winds up getting promoted just to cover it all up. Isn't that wild? But I'm seeing that. Same way with waitresses, like with the first girl. They don't have enough waitresses, so they give all the tables to one. They work them into the ground, and then they wind up leaving. Or they're not paying them enough, and they wind up leaving because they're worked into the ground. A lot of times, understaffing, those same people get overworked, and they wind up leaving and then quitting because they're stressed out. They can't handle all that workload. Understaffing is an Achilles heel of corporations.
Since you've only been here for 6 or 7 weeks, I don't think you need to work here after today. And I was like, I haven't finished all of my work yet. And he was like, I don't care, Angela can do it. So make sure you have an emergency fund before you quit. And I'm going to go email my boss and try to ask for severance pay.
I went to a job interview today. I came back home and my boyfriend left because I told him that I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work
I knew this couple, awesome couple, and they just had enough of society. And they got them a bus and they renovated it. And they just go from place to place in their school bus, and it's got a nice bed in it, TV, whole 9 yards. You make them mad, they're gone by sunup. And that was their life. They worked enough to eat and move on to the next place, and they were very happy with it. I think some people are at that situation. Housing's too expensive, rent's too expensive. They work all day and night, never get ahead. Their money's inflated to no other. You know, the politicians just keep printing more money and devaluing our money to the point where, like, what is it a good for? Absolutely nothing. And people are checking out of the system. And that's what they did. And they're still living that way, the vagabond life, the van life, and it suits their personality. But not everybody is wired that way. Like, I'm not. I have to have a place to be. I don't like traveling too much. But then you see some people that are just aloof to everything. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're just gonna not work. You're gonna not have any goals or aspirations or anything. You're not able to work. You have nowhere to go. I mean, eventually your car's gonna break down or need maintenance. You need someplace to shower and sleep. Homelessness only goes so far. And this girl is really wild. Like, check this out.
Job, I want to live out of my car, and if he wants to stay in Airbnbs or whatever, he can, but I can't because I'm not like everyone, which he knows, but still causes conflict. Able to do things that I don't want to do. I was a sugar baby before I met my boyfriend. Like, I don't want to work a job.
If you can't, you got to have a skill set. You got to be good at something, or develop one, or be able to sing or dribble or talk on YouTube, because you got to have something you do. But how do you get to this point? Like, how did she get to the point? It looks like she's in a nice place. Looks like her boyfriend took care of her. Like, what is her skill set? Is it what I think it is? Or I'm just being facetious here, or I'm just joking? Comment down below what you think her skill set is for her to go from nice place to not nice place and never make a dime.
You guys say that you can't, but I really... It's not a me problem. It's not that there's something wrong with me and I need to conform better to this society. This society is not built for people like me. And you guys will say, oh, it's not built for any of us. Okay, well, I'm on this app day and night trying to change things because it's a problem with our thinking. That's why.
So that was an interesting set of videos. What do you think about these people? Everything from those checking out and those trying hard. The government has built a system to where I think we're at an inflection point. We're going to see some stuff pan out in the next year or two to where people are going to be questioning the way we do all this. AI is changing everything as we see it. Corporate America is just becoming an unsustainable job market. Entrepreneurship is really becoming a thing now. Used to, when you said you're an entrepreneur, they looked at you like, oh, you're broke and you don't have a job. Now it's becoming a thing where I want to create my own world, or I want to do contract work, or I want to be a delivery guy from Instacart to all these other apps and never have like a job I go to. And the idea of get a real job, that one I've never understood that. If you can trade whatever your skill is for money and that makes you happy and that sustains you, that is a real job. The idea of job was created during the Industrial Revolution to get people to work a 9-to-5 job. Henry Ford was very smart when he programmed America. 9 to 5 and the weekend. You know, the weekend's a relatively new idea. Last 100 years. Used to, you just worked. You just did things. Like, you didn't sit there and say, you, son, need a real job. But if you're sustaining yourself with whatever you may be doing, sitting on a brown couch you got at a garage sale, talking on the internet and doing great, well, do that. If it's being a handyman or we're running charter fishing trips and that's what you want to do and that pays for what you need to do, that is a real job. That is a means to making a living. Don't ever let anybody hate on your idea of what you want to do that's not what everybody else thinks you're supposed to do. I mean, while I was growing up, if you didn't have a federal job or a school teacher, people thought you didn't have a job. My dad started karate studios all over the Southeast back when karate was a new thing in the 70s. But he did it, and he did well with it, and he didn't listen to people. So if you're out there and you're struggling with what to do next, hey, you can start that business. Go and sell hot dogs, or go and start an embroidery business like my mother-in-law did and became very successful at it. You can do these things. Don't get down. You're enough. You have it in you to be successful. No, things are going to get better. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below with your ideas and even your discourse. If you've got something, some motivation, or some words of wisdom, put it in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in the next video.